3, 2, 1. Donovan Bailey, Canada's Walk of Fame member. How does that feel?
It's definitely a humbling feeling to be honored that way, because clearly it's not something that you can pursue. It's not something that you can aspire to. It's not something that's part of a repertoire where you say, I'm going to be the champion of something.
My question is, what took so long? You didn't get any faster in all these years, right? The Atlanta was over 20 years ago. So why do you think now you're sitting here as a Walk of Fame member?
It's really not for me to answer. I think that sometimes people always whisper your successes and speak loudly about one or two failures, and I don't know what took them so long, the proverbial them.
You have the Order of Ontario.
Right.
Don't have the Order of Canada yet. I want to ask you what took so long. But if I was talking in the barbershop,
right,
the conversation would be, if your name was Dale Bailey,
right,
you would have already had the Order of Canada. You often wonder if it's different because of your complexion.
I think because of my journey to success, I don't always pull out the R word. I don't pull out racism, and I don't say because I'm black, because I can't really blame someone or something. So what I can do is actually just think about the kind of the teachings that I had from my parents, that if I work really hard, success will come to me. When I hear or see accolades and then people ask me about why things take so long, or why I haven't received something, my only question to them would be, why don't you ask the people that are in charge of this? Because I certainly don't know, and obviously if there's blatant things, then I'll call it out.
You used the word blatant, and that reminds me. In a piece done about you, you said, Canada isn't as blatantly racist as the United States, but we know it exists. People who don't appear to be Canadian, people of color, don't get the same treatment. They associate you with your parents' birthplace or your birthplace. You said that before you had an Olympic medal. Now looking back, do you still have the same viewpoint?
Well, I feel the exact same way. I mean, you can see it right now when you look at the optics of Canada and the U.S. Certainly, there are things that are said and done south of our borders that you would never hear being said in Canada, because that would be very un-Canadian. But certainly there are people here that don't want the success of immigrants and the success of other people to be like their success.
Do you think we have, as Canadians, a false sense, because it's so obvious there, that things are better here than they actually are?
First of all, we are the greatest melting pot in the world, and we know that Canada belongs to the natives. But yeah, it appears this way. It appears that Canada definitely is better, and I think in some ways it is better because we're a lot more tolerant. But one of the things that I always tell my friends, my journey is different than probably the average normal person. I came from Jamaica, and I moved to Oakville. We move in a predominantly white community. There's 6 black families. I know them all, or I'm related to them. So seeing life through that lens is definitely a little different than how it is that maybe the average normal person sees.
Your perspective is an interesting one, and one thing that you said to me before has really stuck with me, is that back home in Jamaica, the police officer looks like you, the politicians look like you, the criminals look like you, the custodial workers look like you.
Right.
Everyone looks like you. So for you to fathom yourself rising in society is not crazy. It's only people, minorities who are born here who may have limits on their dreams because they don't see themselves in those top places. Do you think that unique perspective that you have growing up in Jamaica makes you feel entitled to great success in a way where people born here just are happy to get whatever they have?
The great answer is yes. I mean, the fact is that you and I are doing an interview now is amazing, and the fact that you see no limits to what it is that you can do is also amazing. I am one of the fortunate people, and I always say this when I speak and when I do appearances, I'm one of the fortunate people that I grew up in a community. I mean, I was born in Jamaica. So being born in Jamaica, like you said, the prime minister is black, and the squeegee kid is black. So every single, and obviously of different hues, but you understand that when things are being preached to you, when things are being preached to you by your parents, in my case by my parents, success is what's expected. So in order for me to go from Jamaica to Oakville to become the fastest man in history, I must have had some level of expectations, and I have that in every way. So sometimes it's hard for people to take that, but at the end of the day, I cannot understand, and I cannot wrap my mind around the fact that if you're doing anything in life, and I don't care what it is, I can understand how it is that you would not have high expectations of that, and how you cannot, essentially try and ascend to the greatest success that you can be. So I can understand that. So if someone has an opinion about me being different, then I embrace that, and that's a great thing for me.
Sometimes the racial issues we have are self-inflicted. I'll give you an example. I did a story recently on RJ Barrett, who's going to Duke. Great story.
Love it, love it.
A lot of the reaction online was, he sold out.
Right.
Chose a white school. Why do you think us as a people at times have that crabs in a bucket mentality?
Well, you know what? I always talk about the slavery mentality, and I think that sometimes the unfortunate thing is that sometimes people don't like to see other people being successful. And you cannot just be happy to see other people being successful. When I talk to my friends sometimes, and I'm very certain that you went through this, and you see things being reported in the news, and you want to cringe. If it's something negative, the last thing that you want is to see a black kid. Make that not be one of the kids from our community.
Please, Lord, let it not be a black person.
Please, Lord.
Everyone's grandparents said it, their parents said it.
And well, I'm that guy. I don't know if you're there yet, but I'm certainly that guy.
One thing you were also was outspoken, right?
Well, sometimes sometimes I'm very certain that if Twitter existed, then a lot of tweets would have came out for me just to run and be quiet.
I only wish in your prime you had a Twitter account.
No, man.
It would have been a guaranteed follow.
Yeah, it would be sweet, yes.
But now we're used to athletes speaking because we see them all of the time. But
Yes.
you were ahead of your time coming out and saying, he's a coward, he's a chicken, right? Just people didn't speak like that at that time. If you were an active athlete now, would you be a Colin Kaepernick? Would you be outspoken about the things that are going on in society, given that you were outspoken before? Being outspoken was cool.
You know what? I would be, yes. Well, I am outspoken today, and I'm not a current athlete, but I understand exactly what's happening. I support Colin Kaepernick 100%. 1,000%, 1,000,000%. What Colin's doing, I think, is incredible. I mean, it takes a lot of sacrifice in the middle of his professional career, because I'm certain Colin wants to just go play football. I'm very certain that's what he wants to do. But he happens to be a disruptor, probably through no fault of his own. He just happens to be. So I support that. There are people that go and protest. There's people that sit for the national anthem. That's just not my journey, and that's just not my way of doing it. But do I support them? 1,000%.
Experience is a great teacher. What do you tell your son about navigating this world as a young African Canadian? I don't have a kid, but honestly, I worry about a kid doesn't even exist, about what I would tell him. So what do you tell him about dealing with the police, dealing with interpersonal situations, dealing with racism?
There's simple things that I tell Mateus. One, the police are your friend, and the police works for you. You obviously need to be focused on discipline at school in order to allow the smart brain to continue to flourish. And I can't smother him away from everybody, but I also tell him that it's really important for you to understand. You can't be someplace and being any problems. Because if you're someplace and you're in a problem and you're with 15 people, you're the person that's gonna get called out. So you just can't be there, period. So I am friends with my son in order for us to have a conversation about everything in society.
See, you're antithetical because you started that by saying to your son, the police work for you.
Right.
Which is not a sentiment that our people historically have. I don't think Colin Kaepernick thinks the police work for him, right? And as you know, even I'm conflicted because as much as I love the people who serve and protect us and who help my grandparents with their groceries, whenever I hear sirens, I get nervous and I know I didn't do anything.
Right.
So why do you have that viewpoint that you're telling your son the police work for you?
Well, maybe because for me personally, the police have actually physically worked for me. But I want to make sure that my son, and well, my daughter knows this, but that my son knows that this is not an adverse situation. This is a group of people, they're hired by the community or the state or the country to protect all of us, right? I mean, so they work for us. All of us are citizens. So therefore, his comfort should be, hello, sir, how are you doing? Are you having a good day? Thank you very much. Good evening, good night.
You're turning 50 in a little bit. 50 years from now, when you're turning 100 and celebrating, and hopefully have the Order of Canada by then. Are you optimistic or pessimistic that a lot of the issues we're talking about now, a lot of the issues that you highlighted before Atlanta in 1996, will no longer be an issue?
Great question. And ideally, I'm an optimistic person. I certainly know that the bar has moved slightly since I spoke about this 21 years ago. And it was a huge hotbed topic. Today, the narrative has changed. There's 2 black men doing an interview in Canada. There's more discussion with social media and everyone having a platform. There's more people talking about it. So I believe that 100 years from now, it must change and things must happen because every single person has a voice now.
Well, thank you for having this discussion, not on your race, but on race.
On race. Good to see you, DJ. Awesome, man.